And here we go. The Anything Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm Chris. What's going on?
You want to talk about space?
No, actually, I want to talk about something else completely first.
All right, let's go.
So, one of the big things is I decided, well, not I didn't decide, but we have Disney Plus now, and I watch it on Roku. And my daughter loves, she's been on like a Mickey and Donald and Goofy cartoon kick. And so Disney Plus has pretty much all of their programming from Steamboat Willie all the way to like what's coming out tomorrow, all on Disney Plus. So we've been watching all of the cartoons from like the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. And holy crap, like you look at some of the cartoons and just the way that they are. Like if you watch Steamboat Willie, like they were like beating animals left and right to make it look like comedy and funny and just like doing weird shit. And then like I was watching Donald Duck Goes to the Beach, and it's Donald Duck and Pluto, and they're at the beach, and Donald Duck hates Pluto. Like I forgot about all this because I haven't watched these cartoons in since I was a young one. And so he hates him. So he was like tricking him with this blow up thing for like the water, and it was like freaking the dog out, or Pluto out. But during this altercation, there's a whole picnic that's lined up, and so an ant is shown, and he's looking around scouring, and he's got face paint on like he's a Native American. And so then he he sees the food and all the food laid out, and then to signal to his ant friends, he goes like, "Oh yeah, hello," and like what would be a chant, and then all the ants come out and scour the food, and so Donald Duck realizes what's happening, and it's like, holy crap. There's like so much like racism and stuff that's going on in these cartoons. And it's like, wow, like you didn't really think about that at that age. And being that it's in the 30s, the 40s and that, when that was much more like prevalent or accepted or whatever, it's just like, wow, that's pretty crazy. And I'm not saying like, don't watch the cartoons, like, whatever, they're funny and shit, but it's like, damn.
Well, those cartoons, when you get the DVDs now, at the beginning of them, it says the views that are expressed in these cartoons are of a past time. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we don't endorse this now. We're not cutting it out, but this is a different time.
Yeah.
And I think that back then, those cartoons, I think that the racism bled into it. Like the people were just so blatantly prejudiced and racist that they're just like, oh, this will just be funny. Mm-hmm. And it just bled into the cartoons. I was watching a Minnie Mouse GIF or GIF, however I say GIF. So
I think it's GIF.
Yeah. The graphics interface format.
Yeah.
So I was watching, and I don't know if this was a real thing because on the internet these days you don't know, but it was Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. And it was an old black and white, and Mickey had a hot dog with a sausage. Mm-hmm. Minnie Mouse pulls a little coin out of her sock. She opens her sock, pulls the coin out, tries to pay Mickey because she wants the sausage. Mm-hmm. And Mickey, being the gentleman that he is, oh, no. He gives the sausage to Minnie. Minnie tries to bite the sausage, and as soon as the sausage gets bit, it's suddenly alive and it runs away. Uh-huh. So Mickey chases the sausage, catches the sausage, pulls down the sausage's pants, spanks the sausage. The sausage starts crying like a toddler would cry when it gets spanked, and then runs away. And I'm like, no part of this was like enjoyable to me. But these are things that were bled in. Now, also, I remember there was a cartoon where one of the characters fires a gun. He loads the gun with bullets, and the bullets are Mexican. And there was like a lazy one.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I know what you're talking about.
Blatantly racist. Is it Mighty Mouse or is it Mickey? It might have been even Mickey Mouse.
No, wasn't that Yosemite Sam?
It might be.
I think that might have been.
I think you're right.
But then like Speedy Gonzales.
That's it.
And,
that's the one.
What's his? I think it was his cousin. It was Speedy Gonzales, and then his cousin was Pedro. something like that. I don't remember. It was like he was real slow and quiet, and it's like I get they're all characters, and like as a kid when you're watching these, it's like you don't think about that, you don't even realize that. But then when you look back and it's like, well, we're so hyper aware in today's day and age. But the really the good thing though I'm happy about is, like you said, they put in this thing that says, like the trigger warning that says, oh yes, this is views from different time, things were different at that point, but they didn't take it out. Like that's the whole thing I like they're not censoring what they used to. And then I was watching, I turned on Fantasia because I had to do some stuff, and those cartoons are like 7-8 minutes long. Fantasia's like, I don't know, an hour and a half or something. And so I haven't seen Fantasia, God, since I was maybe like 8 years old. And, you know, after when you start getting older and you start learning about drugs, and you're like, oh yeah, Fantasia was made by everybody who was on acid, or like 4 people who want to trip on it. And I'm like, okay, because like I had a faint memory, and I think everybody remembers the same thing from Fantasia is Mickey, you know, coordinating the brooms and cleaning the place of the wizard's place. I think like at least that's what I remember from it. I knew there was like the dancing hippos and all that stuff, and that's what people would like talk about was the dancing hippos and stuff. And I'm like, okay, I could see that, it was real colorful. But when I actually turned it on and looked at it, and they have like just streaks of color going and the mushrooms dancing and like everything, it's like, oh, now I see it. Because like I'm referencing a point from when I was 8 years old to what I remember, what stayed vivid in my mind, which would have been years later when I actually learned about the reality of Fantasia and how it was made. And then it finally hit me like the other day, because I actually was able to sit down and watch like a few minutes of it. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had some acid right now, because I'd be fucking tripping balls.
No shit.
So it's like, just those things is like, wow, that's just pretty crazy how things like that happen.
Well, what's clever about it also is if you put the racism that bleeds into those cartoons aside, when you talk about the adult jokes that are in cartoons that you don't pick up when you're a kid, but you get when you're older. I like that because if you're an adult that's taking your kids to the cartoon, there's still something there for you where you're like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
I forget which cartoon it is, but there's like Lord Farquaad.
Those
is
are
that
Shrek?
Shrek? Yeah. Lord Farquaad. That's hilarious.
It's the Shrek ones are so adult themed humor. Like you could be an adult, watch it, and enjoy that movie. Like when Pinocchio's wearing a thong and like shit, like that's gonna go completely over kids' head. Yeah. Like it's to me, I think it's absolutely amazing how like we're just different at kids' ages, seeing into the world and what they pick up on. They pick up on the things that are for kids. But when adults watch that same stuff, they pick up on the things that are made for adults. It's so greatly blended together that it works, because now both can watch. Even like my favorite show is like Boy Meets World. I love that show. So I've been catching, like I rewatched that show. I'm like back at like season 5 or 6 or something right now. And it's 7 seasons long, but I was watching all the episodes. And I remember when it was on ABC on the Friday night lineup, which TGIF, rest its soul, that was an amazing lineup nonetheless. But the first season they were like in middle school, like little kids and like 6 years old, which it was really relatable at that point, because the way time flows in TV shows is much different than it does in real life. So they skipped from like 6th grade to like second year in college in 7 seasons, which if you do the math doesn't really work out. Right. So you're missing like 2 years right there. And it's just really wild, because like some of the things that they said, like the adults, which would have been Amy and Alan, which were the characters that were played as the parents, like some of the things that they would say and do was sexually related. And as a kid, I'm like, I know that show inside and out. I've watched it from when it premiered on ABC all the way through today, and I've watched it at different spurts. So I've seen it at all different aspects of my life. But now that I have a daughter, I have another aspect or thought process on it, because now you're viewing it from a different angle. So I remember when they went into their second season, that was when they were discovering girls and like making out and in lockers and trying to like hook up with girls. And when I say hook up, I mean, that's what it was making out. It wasn't, trying to have sex or anything like what's probably would be today. But they talk about like they're doing that. And I remember my mom and dad were like looking at it and watching it because it was much more themed for that time frame, like that age. And I was still just, just a touch younger than that when the show was going on. So where they were in the show itself, I was just a little behind it, and I maybe like 2 years. I don't even remember. So there was that. You get that gap, and so they're watching it, and they're like, because it stepped up. Like Sean was making out with a girl in a locker, and like it was very oriented that way. Which I get it, because that's when you get that age, it's a show following boys growing up. What do they think about? They think about girls. They think about wanting to date. They think about making out because it's all brand new to them. So, they watch it. I'm thinking to myself, if I, like the age I was at to what my parents was watching, what I was seeing and what I was watching were so different. Like I didn't pick up on the sexual side of things because my mind wasn't in that spot. It was on the funniness of the show. It was on the relatable characters. It was the story behind it and the story within it that was blatant, not the little sub things that happen when they're trying to make out in the locker or whatnot, or going out to a makeout party and things. So it was just really unique to see those perspectives. And I'm glad I'm able to look at it from when I was a kid to now, because then I think that will probably play into like when my daughter grows up and starts watching certain shows on if I'm able to say, yeah, that's an okay show, or it's not an okay show, like something like Shameless. Like she's not going to watch Shameless when she's 12 years old. No fucking way. But like if you're watching Boy Meets World and you're a couple years younger than that, you're not going to see the sexual side of things. You're going to see the funniness of it and what it was designed for. Same thing with other shows. So I think it's unique that way. And I'm, like I said, I'm glad that they leave stuff in there, because Disney's like this wholesome channel and stuff, or wholesome thing where it's like the family, and yet they have a lot of things in their content throughout the decades that they've been around that's very sexual, that's very druggy, that's very racist, you could even say at certain points, or homophobic, or any of the things that would be the hot topic button issues in today's day and age, but weren't so back 20, 30, 40, 60, 70, 100 years ago.
Well, the view on the world is crazy how things change. I don't understand. And then with movies, the Boy Meets World, I didn't really pay too much attention to. I was familiar. Didn't one of the actors become like an adult film star now?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for her.
Yeah, she did actually. And it's funny because I was going through, because like I said, I'm in the middle of watching it again. So there was a girl that was on the show, I think that was dating Sean, and she looked very familiar, like another actress. And because a lot of those actors and actresses at the time played somebody, because they had 7 seasons, so you had all these different people coming on, and it was just unique to see that. So I look and I'm like, is that the same person as from the movie? Because they looked very similar. So I looked up on IMDb to see, and it wasn't the same actress. And it was funny because I was looking and I knew Rachel was doing the person who played, I don't remember her name. It's like Maitland or something like that. She was, I knew she was doing porn for like a little while now. And so I'm scrolling through and her name pops up. So I'm like, I go to a website. I'm like, I got to see how she looks like throughout the years, because she was on the new show because Boy Meets World was in the 90s, and then they had Girl Meets World, which was like 4 years ago. So she was actually on that show, I think, for like 1 or 2 episodes.
Oh.
So it was really funny because then it's like she's taking dick in the fucking pussy and ass and sucking it, and you know you're on this really wholesome show that like anybody from the 90s and like 2000s and 2010s now, or at least in like the teenager age group, know those 2 shows. And yeah, that girl's taking the fucking ass, and it's just like, damn. So I was looking her up to see what she looked like and you know how she looked. And it's funny that you brought that up because I was at a benefit earlier, and we were talking about Boy Meets World, and she came up. So I'm like, yeah, I was looking at her earlier, and just to see what she'd look like. And it's funny because there was an episode that I remember in Boy Meets World where she was like, they were like playing pranks on each other or something, and she had a pic. She took like this risky photo, but it was really her in like silky PJs. So it wasn't really. I mean, for like a Boy Meets World, that would have been risky. And so they made it look like it was a sexy shot, and she looked good, and not gonna lie, and it was just weird because they made like she was all like, oh my God, I can't believe you showed that. And it was like the whole student union would see it because it was like you pulled it down, another one was right there. You pull it down, another one was right there. So somebody stood in front of it, and she was like, oh. Meanwhile, right now she's out sucking dick and fucking taking shots in the face.
Well, it's so weird because right now with the internet, like watching people have sex is more accessible than it ever has been in history, but nothing changes with human behavior for thousands of years.
Have you watched the porn that's out there?
No.
More recently? It's pretty fucking weird. Like, I'll watch porn on a regular basis to get off when I, have to.
Right.
But like some of the shit that's there, it's like, I just want to see people fucking.
Well,
I don't want to see
movies.
I don't want to see the stepsister and stepmom.
Right.
I don't want to, or the stepfather. Like that shit's fucked up. Like, do not show me that. I don't want to see it. Like, but the thing is, they'll be like, I don't know, it's like Lisa Ann chokes on dick or something. So I'm like, okay, click on that, and then all of a sudden it's like some little fucking like 19-year-old fucking this hot cougar, and it's like, oh yeah, your daddy's not here. You don't even give it to me like your dad does. And I'm like, I don't want to watch that. I just want to watch 2 people fucking.
Right.
I don't care about the fucking story. Like the way that they make porn today is, I don't know if it's like for the shock and awe value or if it's because you're seeing all these like subreddits of people who are like, oh, I'm into this. And then you get like 2,500 other people saying, oh yeah, me too. And then they're like, oh, there's a market for that. So let's start putting porn in that direction.
That's exactly what
and then there's another market over here. Let's do it that way. And let's appeal to all these people. So it's like now sometimes just trying to get off is a chore because it's like, I just want to find a video that is just them fucking. Like I want to see a girl get massaged up.
Yeah.
And then his hands sneak into a position that they shouldn't be. Right. And she's like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I kind of like it. And then all of a sudden they're fucking. Like, that's the most I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you being like, oh, yeah, come here, stepdaughter. How you doing? And it's like, dude. So
I think the same thing happened with just regular movies. Like, one thing that fascinates me is the amount of violence that people accept in society. You can go watch murder and, people's limbs getting chopped off on TV. That's perfectly acceptable, but you can't see a boob. No boobs.
Well, it's
messed up.
The sexual side of things, yes, is very strange.
Yeah.
But the grotesque of violence that you're alluding to, which, honestly, I don't even think that's grotesque because that's been part of the human condition for the beginning of time. Like they would have, the Aztecs would sacrifice people by ripping out their hearts and their tongues and shit. So all those people saw that on a regular basis. You had like the gladiators fighting animals who would tear them limb from limb. You'd have beheadings and hangings and, just war and all of this stuff that pretty much, at least in our arena or our, life, has pretty much gone away. But other parts of the world, it isn't. Other parts of the world, it's still very common to have things like this where you see all of those things. And yeah, I get it. Like, ooh, you showed nipple. You can't show nipple. You can show side boob, under boob, top boob, cleavage. But if there's a little areola with a little net, with a little tip,
well, what they should do, what they definitely should do, is find a guy that has very female-like nipples, and put those guy nipples over the female's nipples so that they can show that guy's very female nipples. See, that wouldn't work. Too hairy. But then you could blatantly be like, well, we have a guy looking pasty over my boob, but it looks like a real nipple. That's what I would do. But and you're right. You can pick specific examples of cultures that were very violent and brutal. Human beings are brutal, for sure. There's been, hundreds of millions of people have just been killed in this century alone, right? We've got better technology. The violence what is interesting to me is that what you said about the extremity of the porn is also the same thing that people need extreme movies. You need extreme murders, extreme violence, extreme action, extreme explosions. And then in the porn industry, the same thing. It's gotten...
Well, it's the
more
one
extreme.
Up. It's the one up. Like the easiest example to talk about would be Fast and the Furious franchise. You start off in the first one. It was about racing, and there was like some action, and then you go to the second one, and there's a little bit more. They stepped it up a little bit, where like they take cars and shoot them going over a bridge crossing. And they come up with some funny things like ejectocito cuz and shit like that. Then the third one was, a different style because it was all about drift. But then you get into the next ones, and they step it up each time, that it gets to a point where it's like, what was it? I think it was Fast and the Furious 6 maybe, where they're going on this runway, and the whole scene, like they're on an trying to get this airplane not to take off, and so it's like a few cars that are taking this giant hangar of an airplane, like a military style plane that would be like for transporting shit.
The C-130.
But bigger.
Oh my God.
And there's this runway, and it was like a 10-minute whole scene from start to finish when they're just getting to the when it explodes. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Fast 6 yet, fuck you then, I don't care. I spoiled it. Yes, they brought the plane down and blew it up. But it was like 10 minutes, and this thing is supposed to be traveling at takeoff speed. And there's no runway in the world that would ever be that long. And so it's like, okay, well, there's plausibility. But then the next one, like, they're in this mountain pass, and they're all cornered. He's cornered in, and he's like, oh yeah, hold on. And so he like kicks rocks around, and then they're facing like the cliff, and the girl is like, oh, we're facing the wrong way. And she's like, buckle up. And then he like drives off, and then they like just tumble down and go like probably down like a few thousand feet or something, or 1,000 feet, something insane where it will kill you. And they're just kind of like, oh, they get up and will kind of like walk away like, oh, I got stunned a little bit, but oh, I'm okay. And it's like, I mean, I love the movies, don't get me wrong, but it's like they just one up each other, and,
right? And
they do it at a point where it's like, now it's not even realistic anymore. Like the first few movies were so realistic and relatable, and then you just start putting it into this unrealistic standpoint. It's like, why would you go that? Like, why would you take that curve and just go from here, like on a fucking exponential curve straight up? Like that, I don't get, because now you're talking about budget films. Now you're talking about like getting it all crazy, and I don't get it.
The same thing happened with porn, and it's the same thing and the thing that's crazy about it is just like Fast and Furious, where the first one is relatable to real life. Like that could happen. You could have a bunch of dudes who have souped up cars that are racing each other, right? And then,
Right here, case in point.
yeah, but then it gets so far that it would never happen in reality. And it's the same thing with porn. Like what you're watching on there is not what it feels good in reality. And I think that's where the disconnect is, especially to a young kid who's, younger, that they don't have experience and they have access to all this crazy extreme things that someone needs to explain to them.
Well, you know what? I mean, I get like, okay, so I was 13 or something when I actually like saw porn for the first time, 12, 13 maybe. And, it teaches you a little bit, but like the stuff I was watching was like mild compared to what the extremes are today.
Yeah.
And, the good thing is like when I don't want to play that game of trying to find something, all I end up doing is there's a few actresses' names. I don't even know if you call them actresses though or not, but there's a few women's names that I know. I'll look up. I know what the video is, and I enjoy it. Right. It's fun because it's just fucking. I don't get that crazy ass crap that I don't want to know or care about, and I'm okay with that. I'm like, okay, so at least that's a little bit, but. The whole thing is like today, it's very unrealistic for just sexual experiences altogether.
That's the whole thing. It's not real. Like it's just not even real, and I don't like it either. Like the gagging.
Yeah,
I don't like it. I don't want to see it.
I mean, and I get it. Yeah, okay. Some people do like it, right? But here's the thing: most people don't.
No, they don't.
And so in today's day and age, chances are you're going to have a high amount of sexual partners. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but chances are you're going to have more sexual partners than when even I was growing up. But I was a whore, so my number is high. But it also taught me, variances in females. So like, I've dated younger, I've dated much older, I've dated my age, I've dated, a wide array, and each time kind of taught me something. And like. One or two girls that I've screwed around with like to be choked. I don't like doing it. So like to me, I'm not going to do it to them because I don't know. I find it weird. And if but out of the rest of them, nobody did. And some people like it in the ass. Some people don't. Some people like a finger up the ass. Some people don't just want you to grab it. Some people like being, there's all these different things on what they like or don't like. And I think everybody just has to have that baseline covered, though, at least on, maybe if you're a guy, how to please a girl. If you're a girl, how to please a guy. You're not going to shoot in the fucking face with a spit full of cum. Like, that's not realistic. Like, that girls aren't going to like that. Some will. Some will be like, come on my face or whatever. That's some. But the base reality of it is, they're not going to like that. You fucking pull out and go on their stomach or something, or go on their ass, or, or if you're wearing a condom, go in that fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, human sexuality is crazy in itself, and there's so many variables when you're developing your experiences. There's so many variables, but you're right. There's a huge disconnect between what you're watching and what actually feels good in real life. Like, whatever people like, that's great. Good for them. There's a reason why they developed that way, why they like that certain particular thing. Great. Good for them. But what they're watching on the computer, on the internet, is different than what actually feels good when you're in that circumstance.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody's explaining to young people, I don't think, like, hey, first of all, this isn't real. It's not how it really goes down most of the time. Those are actors, and they probably don't even like it, and they're just doing it because they're following a cue, and like, this is the scene.
They're doing it because they're getting paid for it.
And they're doing it because Game of Thrones made, incest cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's the whole thing. Like, I don't get it.
I don't know.
I mean, is it because it's like that taboo and it's like, oh, that's like the final frontier? Well, what's the next one? Fucking a horse?
Yeah.
I mean, really, what is the net? Like that's kind of the thing that's like, I don't know if it scares me or makes me like what the fuck is going on with the world today? Is like, what will be next?
Right. Well,
will
that's
it be like sex robots or something
That's
that are coming
definitely
out?
what it is. I'm still waiting for mine in the mail.
Did you order yours yet?
For sure did.
How much did it cost you?
$260,000. Whitney Cummings is sending it to me.
Oh, you got the Whitney Cummings doll. Now, here's the question. Did you get the same? Okay, so here, that's funny you bring that up. So Whitney Cummings had a DC comedy special. I think it was Money Shot was the one. I think it was that one. But it was in DC when she did her one comedy special. It's on Netflix, so if you want to watch it. And she brought her doll out. And like it was funny because her whole thing was like setting it up, and I'm like, because this was after the Joe Rogan podcast where she brought the doll on, so I'm like, oh, I hope she brings that out, and she ends up bringing it out. But then at the end, like once the special's over, they do like this like whole thing of her going to the robot to get her face like all covered and done and. Like the plaster or whatever the hell they do to it. And then they show like the nipple wall, and they're showing like all these different like the stops, and it's like, holy shit, I'm so glad that they actually had that on there and we were like showing it because it was so unique and so funny. But yeah, no, they had her out on the thing, and she like her doll was taking part of the special and doing like some of the jokes the way they set it up. So I don't know if you watched that one or not.
For sure did.
But
Money Shot is her older one. That's not the one that the doll's in. Yeah, I'll find out what it's called. Whitney Cummings is hilarious. I really respect her. Her Money Shot up special is really good. The robot one is good. But see, again, like you're right. Where is the limit? And if you're a guy who can't or doesn't have the time or doesn't want to put resources into a female, you could just buy a doll. And there's plenty
What are you talking about? It doesn't have to be just men. Why are you limiting it to just men? Women might want to get off too. Women
they definitely do.
Sexual creatures.
Well, that's what's weird is that now there's men who have married their dolls and they treat their dolls like human beings. And we're going to go out to the restaurant and this is the outfit you're going to wear. You ready, honey? And they're treating their dolls like a real woman. Mm-hmm. And I get like if you have that need, but is it weird? Is it weird to marry your doll?
Yeah. I would say it's going to be weird because it's not a real person. Like, it can look real. It can maybe even feel real. But underneath that, it's all machine. It's all just parts. It's not, there's nothing to it. There's no substance. There's no mind. There's nothing to it. So, I mean, for the people who it works for, that's great. I mean, you probably understand yourself better than I ever would because I'm not able to walk in your shoes, nor would I want to. I don't have a problem getting laid. I like I said, I mean, I go out on Tinder, and if we actually met up and didn't ghost each other or something, usually at the end of the first date or first time of meeting, end up at somebody's house. Mm-hmm. So like, to me, that wasn't a problem. Yeah. And
it's not difficult to get laid. I think that's what's interesting about it is that,
well, for some people it is very difficult to get laid. So there's problems out there.
Well, that's how you end up marrying a doll. You're like, okay, well, I want companionship. I tried dating. It didn't work out. So I bought a doll. And not only is it my sexual partner, but now it's my life partner.
All right, Aaron, I gotta ask this question real quick first, just to clarify. Are you asking if I think it's okay if you get a sex robot and marry your sex robot?
Definitely not.
You have not had a relationship in a while?
You know what the weirdest thing is? A friend of mine asked if I wanted to have a discount on the Fleshlight. Like you get 50, like you pick 50% off on the Fleshlight. And is it weird? I found it weird that it's okay for women to have every kind of jackhammer tool dildo that's out there, but I had reservations about using a fake rubber vagina. Isn't that weird?
Why is it weird? I mean,
I don't know.
Think about it this way.
It's my own hang up.
If a woman orders something online it's going to come in a nice discreet box. Just like if a guy orders something, it's going to come in a nice discreet box. So it's not like the mailman is going to know what you're doing.
I didn't give a shit about that.
Or you could go to the sex store where there's probably crazier fucking people in there.
I
that go
bought
in there.
dildos at the sex store. I didn't tell you that story?
Why would you buy a dildo?
So I went as Dick in the Box for Halloween. There's a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about.
And it's Justin Timberlake and who's the guy? I forget his name.
I don't. Yeah, but go
He's
on.
hilarious. Anyway, everyone should watch it. It's my Dick in a Box. So I made an ingenious contraption where I took a shoebox, I cut little slits in it, I put a belt through it so I could wear it on my belt, and I went to the local porn store. And
one of the several.
yeah, I went in there. Now, there should be some kind of etiquette if you are a porn shop worker. The girl who was there's a whole bunch of people in there, and she goes, "Oh my God, Aaron!" And she said my last name too, and I'm like,
Wait,
what?
how do you know is this somebody we both know?
No,
Okay.
this was like 15 years ago when that skit was popular. So she was a blonde girl that I remember from high school, and we'd hung out and stuff, and she just happened to work there. But there's a whole bunch of other people in there, and I found a hollow plastic dildo that was a strap-on for $6, and it was lightweight. And I'm like, this is because it was hollow. I'm like, this is great.
Why spend money in
Yeah.
something you're only going to use once?
Right. And it had perfect like little elastic that I could fasten it onto the inside of the shoebox that I fashioned to look like a present with a little bow on it. And it was great. I'm like, this is perfect. Lightweight, $6. What a deal. So I get to the thing. I'm like, now when I was in there at the time, I'm like, it's just so weird that she called me by first and last name with other people. And I'm like, I just felt really embarrassed. And is that a situation where you should discreetly like, hey, remember me? We went to high school together. You don't yell out my first and last name in the porn shop when there's strangers around.
Who cares?
I care. I don't know why I was so uncomfortable about it.
Who cares? Like,
Well, true, because you're also
yeah,
they're
but
in there
but
too.
here's the thing: who gives a shit? Because first of all, the chances of them actually remembering your name,
course.
like nobody's going to give a shit about you. I'm sorry to say,
Yeah.
the only person who cares about you is yourself.
That's exactly right.
And nobody else there is gonna. Oh, that's Aaron. Nobody's gonna remember you. Nobody knows who you are. You're
Plus,
not
they're
famous
in
or
there
anything.
too.
They're in there too. Who gives a shit?
It's
and then
such a weird
the
shame.
thing is, it's like you said earlier. You're like, why is it weird that men can't go get fake pussies and women can have everything under the sun? That's a bad generalization.
It's my own stigma. I'm aware of that.
That's a bad generalization because some women won't touch a toy, and
No, I know some,
other
yeah.
women will, and those women also might say to a guy, "Oh, go get a toy for that." So it's your own personal thing, but it's
definitely
also
is.
partially part of the puritanical belief system that has plagued this country from the beginning of
That's
the
what I
time
think it
here
is.
to now.
As I felt the idea of me having intercourse with a rubber fake vagina, I felt a sense of shame. But I think it just didn't. And in reality, I need to get over those hangups because there's a lot of people out there. I don't think they give a fuck at all. Like, oh, I'm going to go get one of those. But I thought maybe, and that one incident in the store had always bothered me. Mm-hmm. Well, about 2 years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a female who was in the shop that we know someone who works there. Mm-hmm. And she said, oh yeah, I was in there and I saw someone I knew and they looked at me and I looked at them. And then I go, you fucking pervert. We both were embarrassed. And she's like, I felt embarrassed. There is a shame. And it doesn't make sense. Like, they're both in the same shop. Why is sex so taboo and weird?
I don't know, but the craziest thing is, it's like everybody wants to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what's weird.
It's such a basic need on like everybody's
It's the
plate.
basic need.
Well, it's one of them. I mean,
Yeah.
you need food, you need shelter, you need those things as well too.
I need those afterwards.
But everybody also needs sex, so it's like if you want to make it enjoy, or you want to get off because maybe your sex life isn't great, maybe the partner you're with just doesn't get it, and that's the whole other thing too. It's like, why can't people just talk about sex in terms of this is what I like. This is what I want. Like from you as a partner to make me feel better.
Right.
Like why it's like, it can be this guessing game
Yeah.
for people. And, I mean, some people have great sex right off the bat. Some people never get it right. And, you know, if you don't have the conversation on what somebody likes or doesn't like, then you can't actually please them the right way.
Right.
Or if you do give them good pleasure, you could elevate it to an even higher level. And I don't know about you, but for me, if I get a girl off, like, that makes it better for me when I'm getting a girl off. Because
for sure.
I don't know if it's like an ego feeding thing. It's like, yeah, I'm fucking doing this. I'm making her squirm. She fucking squirting all over or something or whatever it is. And it just, if it makes me feel better because of that, like it's an ego. I don't know.
For sure.
But,
no, I'm right there with you.
But it's like, I mean, sex is a primal need. Like life wants to go on, and people have sex for pleasure and for reproduction purposes. It's not for reproduction purposes only. It's for pleasure as well. There's so many benefits to sex, like stress reduction, like anger management control, hormone control. A lot of different things are done because, or happen because of sex. And it's like, we're all sexual. Who cares if there's sex shops and if you go into them or not? Like, what's the big fucking deal?
Well, it's my own
Enjoy.
personal hang up because you're programmed from when you're little that like, oh, sex is wrong and bad and it's dirty. Like the one thing that really bothers me is it dirty? The word dirt, the negative connotation that is with sex. Like there's a lot of bodily functions that are messed up. But sex is dirty or like.
Why is
I don't
sex
like
dirty when
exactly.
every human person is literally
Right.
a poop manufacturing
exactly.
plant?
Yeah.
Like everything we do
Yeah, it's gross.
creates waste,
Fucking gross.
which we shit out.
Yeah.
Like we breathe in air so we can feed ourselves, which can use the food that we eat, so we can create shit and feed the plants.
I don't like the nutty. Oh, she's naughty. Like, no, sex feels good.
I like the dirty.
Well,
Are
see,
you a dirty girl?
Yeah. Like, we're programmed that like, oh, that's taboo. And I get it. Why? But it's attachments that we've been programmed and have made up in our brains that aren't reality. In reality, also, I realized that when we're talking as a teenager, I remember like watching the first porno and like, it was just back then it's normal sex. Like, I think that I was less sensitive to it then. Like, oh, okay, big deal. If parents would have just explained to me normally about what happens, it's hard to explain the difference between romance and sexual pleasure. There's a lot of nuances that go into love. We're all learning, right?
Yeah.
But if someone would have just taken like a hard line and taken all their own emotional stigma out of it and be like, look, here's how this works. Here's how that works. Here's the difference between romance and this is sex. And if I realized talking to some parents, friends of mine, when their kids were getting to be teenagers, it's their own stigma. They don't want to talk to the kids because they feel awkward. It's not that the kids are awkward and weird. And they're putting that awkwardness about sex to the kids. They're teaching them about it. Like, no, get over your own awkwardness. Tell them about STDs. Tell them how to protect themselves. Tell them about emotions.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, the flip side is though too, it's like as a kid, if your parents are talking to you about sex, yes, it can be very strange and weird because that is something that I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird.
I mean,
dude.
like my mom was always very open and upfront about sex and things along that nature, but with a puritanical background as well.
Yeah, that's the problem.
And it's like I see where the influence was, and I see your intention, and your intention was good in trying to educate and all that. But the problem is, it was the wrong way of going about it because of that puritanical
that's exactly it.
influence on it. And so it's like, if I have to teach it to my children, you know, I want it to do it with my spin on things where, yeah, you can separate one, there's a difference between sex and there's a difference between love. The two don't have to coincide. You need to know which one's which. And for several people, it's entwined, like it's entangled. Like you have to be in love in order to have sex,
Right.
when that's not just simply not the case.
No.
I mean, but I can't tell them that they're wrong, because that's how they feel. That's their associative value. But my associative value is that they're not associated. Like, yeah, sex and that are sex and love are two different things. And you can have sex with people you don't love,
Right.
and you can love people you don't have sex with. So it's like,
For me, I wish it would have been a much more lengthy, continuing conversation and much more involved. I feel like,
whoa, how involved are we talking here?
well, pretty in depth because, and I think,
Like, here's a condom, here's a banana. Let
Yeah.
me show you.
yeah, that's what. So you get in school, they're like, okay, we're having sex ed. They separate the boys, separate the girls. You go watch this weird
You
video.
guys were separated?
Yeah, they separated us because they had to teach girls about periods and stuff like that.
Oh, that's right. No, you know what? Okay, so they did, our sex ed class was like a week. I think it was like a week long for like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think there was only like 1 or 2 days where the boys and the girls were separated.
Right.
And that's when they were discussing the differences. But the rest of it, everything was the same.
Did you go in like an auditorium and watch videos and stuff? That's what we did.
No, it was a small school that
in
we were
classroom?
in. So
Okay.
we were in a classroom, and I don't know, there was like 40 kids in my class. And so, yeah, when they did it, I just remember like the last day, it was like the Q&A. So like
Yeah.
you can ask anonymous questions and the teachers will answer it. And it's like, oh my God, like one of the questions was like, how do you get a woman horny or something like that? And it's like, I don't know if it was like supposed to be like a joke or not, because like I know who wrote it. Like we all knew who wrote that one. And we don't know if it was a joke or not. I mean, this is going back so many years. And like people were laughing, giggling, because it's like, again, it's such a taboo subject being in that school and hearing all this type of stuff from your teachers. It's so different from just the normalcy. And so the one of the teachers I remember is like, no, that's a good question. And then like proceeded to answer it. And I don't remember what was said. I only remember like them interjecting and saying, no, that's a good question. And it's like, what? Like it, I don't know. To me, it wasn't memorable in any way.
Well, so for me, like we went into an auditorium because there was a lot of kids, and you watch like videos of like drawings of like this is the male gonad and this is the flaccid blah, blah. And then they flash like pictures of if you have sex, you're getting herpes. This is these are all the STDs, and then they separate you and they tell the girls something that I'm not privy to. But you're right. It's a week for 50 minutes a day, right? So then in public, you're exposed like, oh, dirty. The word dirty, naughty, gross, things like that.
Yeah,
or
you're trying to associate
shame.
You're trying to associate sex with getting diseases,
right? All
and
this stuff.
gonorrhea and STDs.
Yeah,
and if you
like,
do that, your hair's going to fall out.
Going
You're
to
gonna
hell.
get pregnant.
Pregnant
in
hell if you're not married. That's the religion part of it.
Like, you remember the prom video that they showed where they're like, now don't have sex after you go to prom because your girl will get pregnant. And if she gets pregnant, you won't be able to go to college and get a good job. And it's like, it was like 1950 Leave It to Beaver style shit. And it's like, what the like I saw that video and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like that's a joke, right?
I don't think it is a school's responsibility. I think it needed to be a longer conversation and much more detailed. Like, look, sex is natural. There's nothing wrong with it. You may feel nervous because I was nervous. Nobody taught me when I went to kiss for the first time, I bumped my teeth on the girl's teeth.
I think a lot of people did that. I think people, even who've kissed a long time still do that.
Yeah.
Because
nobody's prepared.
It's just the awkward. Like, I mean, it's not awkward. I mean, it's just the misjudging of where another person might be or what they're going to do. And it's not like you're in their mind controlling what they're doing. So knocking into teeth happens a lot.
There's so many different things. Like, they're
Just in general,
they can be nervous. You can be nervous. there's a lot of things. And the good part about it, though, was the STD part of it and the pregnancy part of it. I did get. Like, there's
You got them?
all of them. I got pregnant with STDs. I got pregnant STDs.
Shit.
No, there's three things that I'm glad there's three classes I did not miss in school that I'm glad. I didn't miss the don't do drugs class, and I didn't miss the STD pregnant class. So thank
What's
God.
the third one?
There's two classes.
I thought you said three.
Well, probably three. Well, don't get STDs. Don't get pregnant.
Yeah, but that's all the same class.
Yeah. Well, I don't. But
And ceramics.
yeah, I think ceramic.
I don't want to miss ceramics
And
because
it's
I want to
the-
make that ashtray.
It wasn't so much school. I guess school helped tip me off to I liked learning, so I learned about STDs. I liked biology. That's really what it was. How herpes works is crazy. Oh, syphilis, that's crazy. How does syphilis work? That's crazy. So I learned about that stuff, and I was always kind of paranoid. So I never got any STDs, thank God. And then growing up, all of my favorite rock stars were dying of ODs, the 60s and 70s and 80s. So it's like, okay, clearly don't do drugs or I'm going to die.
Yeah, but
So-
it was a type of drugs that they were doing.
Yeah.
So, but then you look at other drugs.
Well, that's
and
where
it's like,
school
okay,
failed
that's,
me. Yeah,
and that-
school failed
that-
me with false information.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. That's the problem, that they teach it as a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, that's not really the truth behind it. It's
Right.
it's an agenda
Yeah.
that you're teaching, and that's really all it is. So don't do drugs, don't have sex, or you will die.
Right, that's what
And it's
happened.
like, no, that's not. I mean, I get the whole point. Like, yeah, you don't want to have kids.
Right.
Don't have kids until you're ready to have kids.
Right.
Okay. Well, yeah. I'm going to tell you right now, sex feels a shit ton better without wearing a condom. I mean, you go in that raw dog, holy fuck, it feels so much better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't want to have a kid, don't go in raw.
Right. And they
Go
do
in with a
kind of,
condom.
but they don't.
But they don't. But the thing is, they do it like, if you do this,
Yeah,
you're
you'll
gonna
ruin
get
your life.
this and this
Yeah.
and this and this, and then your whole life is gonna be screwed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it could be, but reality sets in. It's like, no, it's not really gonna be like that. Stop trying to fear monger people,
Right.
And tell them the exact truth of what's going on. It's just like the whole DARE program, which was a fucking joke. Like, how much drugs happen because of the DARE program versus not? I bet you it was a lot more, and that's why they don't do the DARE program anymore.
The issue that I had with it was the misinformation. And when it came to sex, if it wasn't just like a week long, and if someone would have sat down and be like, hey, look, when you're in the moment and you're making out, it feels really good. Her body feels good. Your body feels really good. Like, you need to stop and think and take a minute, because you don't have an STD. You don't have pregnancy. And yeah, condoms, they don't feel good. And if someone would explain to me, hey, you need to get used to fucking with a condom. Condoms, they suck. If you're used to raw dogging it, you put a condom on, it sucks, right? But if you only use a condom and you get used to fucking with a condom, yeah, it's not the best. It's an off-brand.
Yeah, but you know what?
But
The
you get
thing
used
is,
to it.
It's
Nobody
not
explained that
bad.
to me. Yeah.
Like if
Like,
if
they're still having
when
sex.
when I first had sex, it was with a condom.
Yeah.
All the way through. I mean, until one of the girls that I was banging was on birth control. Then I'm like, all right, well, let's go in there and try it without and see what it's like. And I'm like, ha. But then, after that relationship ended, and it wasn't all the time. It was like once in the blue moon. And once that, then there's like, all right, well, it's going to go back all the condoms, because to me, I'm like, I don't want a kid. I don't want a fucking kid at all. Like, I don't want to have a kid until like I'm ready, or like far down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole thing to me was like, I don't want to get one of these girls pregnant that I'm fucking, because I don't want to have to deal with them for 20 years or for a lifetime for the rest of my life if you were only there for a couple of times, like one time, 2 times, 3. Like, so I made sure I wore condoms,
Right.
and was okay with that. Like, it was still pleasurable.
Yeah.
I got off. I was happy. I felt good.
And that's another nuance that nobody explains to you. Like, look, the person that you are right now, when you're 16, 17, 18, that's not who you're going to be when you're 30 or 40 or 50. And you're making a choice maybe you stay the same your whole life and you're the same old person. That person might become a completely different person. And now you're 30, 35, 40 years old and you're with someone who's a stranger. You have nothing in common. You know, they don't explain these nuances to you. And it's just like, you're going to get the STD. I think it needed to be a much longer conversation. Adults needed to get over their stigma
honestly,
about talking
I think
to kids.
First of all, what they really need to do for sex ed classes, if it's going to be in school, they shouldn't have the teachers that you know and see every single day teaching that class. What they should be doing, the health, like when I was in high school, they did sex ed. I think it was like really sophomore year, which was taught by in the health class. Like I think it was 10th grade health for a semester, and like there were a couple of sex ed classes in it, maybe a week or so. And so I get that, but because that teacher's designed to teach that class. But like if you have a math teacher, science teacher, biology teacher, or whatever teacher teaching sex ed, that doesn't make sense. Like bring in somebody would be the right person in order to do that. Meaning if they are able to talk about it because that's their background, bring in like a therapist, or bring in somebody who knows and has more information that can actually carry it more. That would be the better way. And then it's not something that people are going to see on a regular basis, meaning the students are going to see the teachers and the teachers are going to see the students. I think that way it's going to be a lot better for all parties involved, so they can all understand and it can stay private between the kids and this person they bring in versus doing something else. That's just my opinion. Boy, I gotta say, that conversation went like so fucking serious, and I wasn't planning on going that serious, at least today. I mean, we had some technical difficulties. For people who are listening, Aaron went to the bathroom, so we had some technical difficulties with Microsoft updates that decided to screw the microphones up. So we were trying to diagnose that problem, and neither one of us actually have audio engineering experience, minus what we learned on YouTube. So I was just expecting to do this a fun, easy, quick podcast today versus getting into something a little serious.
I learned about that soundboard from actual audio engineers at my school. Isn't that neat?
Kind of, but
yes. Again, watching someone explain dials to you can only go so far.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're actually learning and seeing what class. It's doing, sure. That's one thing. Like you're going to learn a lot more hands-on than you are going to out of a book. For sure. And it's the same thing with like just like working on a car. You're going to learn a lot more actually doing it yourself. And that's one of the things like people, okay, so I mean, everybody knows I have Facebook or YouTube, I'm sorry. And I have a pretty decent sized channel, I guess. It's just shy of 5,900 subs right now. So it's grown, it's good. And probably when this goes live, it'll be over 6,000 at that point. But I'll have some
submissives?
Huh?
Submissives? Yeah, because they didn't explain that to me in school with sex ed going back. Nobody explained to me what a dom was or what a submissive is, or
but that's the whole thing. Those aren't.
Nobody told me.
But that's not part of the sexual necessary experience, because that's getting into the dominatrix, and that's getting into sadistic or certain like S&M type stuff. That's like a small genre. Yeah. It's like in the porn, like, let's talk about the family porn.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, like, just talk about the normal stuff. But where was I going before? Oh, yeah, with YouTube. So I'll have people that reach out to me and are like, oh, how do you do this and do that? And I'm like, well, look up YouTube videos. Because that's what I learned. That's how I learned. And now I know how to do it. So, like, when I come up to a problem, I know how to do it, but I'm not going to ever expect. And most of the time, people who do ask me, it's not how to do it, like me do it for them. Like they're asking me, and I don't mind helping. Like I enjoy, but I like for people to be able to do their own findings and to figure out how to do it. Then that way, you know what you got to do if you come across that, and you know how to fix it right away. And that's the whole thing. Like if you're doing a YouTube, YouTube, watch a YouTube video on it, it'll show you the settings and follow through with them. So you get familiar doing it, and then you learn so much quicker. Because if I tell you, oh, go here, go here, go here, you're like, okay, well, let me go to the settings. Let me go to this setting. Let me go to this tab. And you're not really looking to see what that all looks like. And so it's like, just teach yourself how to find the situation, or I'm sorry, to find how to solve the problem, doing it yourself first. And if you still have problems, then come back to me and ask, okay, I've tried doing it this way, or I tried looking this up, but I can't seem to figure it out. Okay, well, where are you getting stuck at? And then that way I can, because at least you take your knowledge and apply it to learning more knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what a lot of people fail to do in all aspects. And the only reason why I use that is because, I'm now I'd be considered an expert because I've been doing it for a year now. So I understand its nuances and its little things here and there. But that's the thing is, though, it's across the whole board. It's like somebody's an expert in this. Oh, how do you do this and this and this? Well, it's very easy to go find the information. That's exactly what I did. Go find it.
Yep.
And,
Well, the internet's great. YouTube, you can learn a lot. I learn a lot off YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know that some colleges have all of their courses online. You can just sign up and take them.
Yep.
MIT has a bunch of really good stuff on there. If you check it out, I think Caltech has some good things on there.
There's a lot of sites out there that's not YouTube or the universities and colleges, but actual like places that are designed for teaching and learning.
Yeah.
All online. And I mean, there's so many different classes out there. Like, you can get a better education for so much cheaper online than going to a school any day of the week.
It depends on what it is. Like, you can't replace like the bio labs that I took. It depends on what it is. Yeah.
That's, maybe at this point, maybe right now, currently you can't replace those labs. But as technology itself advances, you could have a screen that would show you, so many variances about the body. If you were trying to, let's say, learn surgery or something, that's where a lot of surgeons learn now, is on the computer or on, dummy bodies and things like that are designed to have multiple things going on.
Right.
And I think it's just being in simulations and stuff. I think that's going to become much better for a lot of things, even that need certain labs or certain things. But overall, I mean, most things you can just learn.
Yeah, it depends on what it is.
Through that, and then you can learn hands-on as you're learning it on a lot of things, like video production and audio production and things along that nature. I've learned all firsthand from YouTube tutorials and different videos.
Oh yeah,
and
YouTube's
stuff.
great.
And just learning that overall, and it's great. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Here's something. Oh, Whitney Cummings, her special with her robot is called "Can I Touch It?"
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I for some reason I was thinking it was Money Shot.
That was her.
That was her.
That was her breakout special.
Yeah,
that one's good. I like the Money Shot one better than the robot one, because her robot one talks. She shows off her robot and she's highlighting just the ridiculousness of the society that we live in, because everything's crazy. Money Shot is just a straight up comedy special where she's just telling jokes that are hilarious, and she's very talented. I'm always very impressed by her.
Yeah, but there were a couple of skits that she kind of did that were her sets.
Oh yeah, her special's good. They're both good.
No. I mean, the sets were similar. There's a couple, and I don't remember what they were. I think it was her talking about like how men and women talk to each other. It's like when women are talking about men, it's always, when women are talking about women, it's always like bringing them down, like they're slut, they're whore. But if like you're talking to a guy, like if guys are talking to guys, they're always bringing them up. They're like, "What's up, champ? How's it going, boss?" Like things like that. So that like she used that skit in both, that set in both comedy specials, but it was tweaked differently because I think it was the evolution of the joke. Like she took it to a certain point in one special and then evolved it into another special, which or into the next special. I think that was more like the finalized joke of it, because I thought it was just hit together or put together much better. It was tighter. It just worked better overall in the second special versus Money Shot.
Yeah, for sure.
At least in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you're definitely right.
So speaking of comedy, how's your routine coming?
Oh, I haven't. I've been busy. It's been the holidays, and I've
I know, I get that.
Repairing putting stuff back together. So what I hope to do is to write some material. It's on my agenda for 2 weeks from now. I feel like I gotta get some stuff taken care of, and then hopefully gonna start trying it out. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Good, because I'm gonna be holding you to it.
Oh, I'm definitely
because I'm making sure you're on it.
I'm a big fan of. I really like the Heath Ledger Batman, and his
so serious.
Yeah, his Joker is great.
Yeah,
and I'm a man of my word. So I'm a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm still going to hold you to it because it's easy to get distracted because there's plenty of things that you and I have talked about, but distractions happen.
So many. I was thinking about that the other day. We were going to do all these things at such great heights we had.
Oh, well, we still kind of have great heights. It's just a matter of, organizing it and getting the stuff down. Yeah. And the nice thing is right now, like I'm sitting down, I'm working on my time scheduling better. So I'm working on my live stream for my YouTube channel, like just because I want to create better content and I like going live. I like doing live things and it's fun hanging out with everybody. So I'm building that up right now, building the different screens and that, which takes a little bit of time. But now I think I have exactly what I'm looking at. I got to change some things around on my banners and update all that. And then I'm going to get a schedule for production on that aspect. I have a schedule on my other job working aspects, ownership, whatever you want to talk about it. And so I think then things are going to be able to flow where I can be like, all right, well, I got this and this and this done. And now I have this amount of time that I have free. So I can put it towards certain things that I want to do and kind of enjoy and have fun with.
Well, see, that's your goals.
Yeah.
So how about if you talk about a person like Elon Musk, his new goal, it's probably been his goal, but what he's really trying to do now,
getting 100 people per month or per rocket or whatever it is to Mars.
Yes. So what he wants to do, he wants 100 ships a year.
Oh, 100. Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah. But
I read it too quick.
Well, I said this before, but I think that we have to be.
Why is your phone on the coaster and not your drink?
Oh, that's a good idea. I think that we have to be, as a human race, not only do we need to be much more responsible with our planet, but we have to be much more responsible with other planets. So I have two issues. One, I don't think that we should send humans to another planet. I think that we should keep...
Why? So if we all die, we all die together?
No.
We're all on the same ship where we all die?
It's so that we can't contaminate the other planet, right? So, like, I think that we have an opportunity to eliminate disease, to eliminate relative suffering. And if you're going to start a planet, if you're going to start like terraforming another planet, I think we're at least 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, maybe even 5,000, 10,000 years away in technology to be able to go there and eliminate disease and suffering and struggle, right? So I think that one, the resources that are used to be hauling these people to Mars, not only building the rockets, but preparing every ounce of energy. Like, dude, help us. Nothing against Elon. I think he's a super genius, and that guy is a supercomputing robot. And he does do a lot for humanity.
What if he
but focus on us.
Hold on. What if he knows something that we don't?
We don't know what he knows.
Exactly.
But
what if he's been tracking a comet that's going to slam into Earth in 8 years, and so everybody's going to go down with the sinking ship? But he's like, how can I solve this problem? How can I get people at least somewhere else so humanity can go on? And then boom, we can go to Mars, and we have the ability to look at it right now. Maybe we might fail at it a couple of times, but once we get that first time to succeed, things will start working. And that's enough time where we have that we can get enough people to another planet so we can at least save our species. You don't know if that's the case.
I think that he looked at the human race and saw that we probably don't have a future on the planet Earth the way that we're going, and thought to himself, well, the solution is to abandon ship and make sure that life survives. And if you look at humanity, I don't blame him at all. We've got nuclear weapons that can literally cease life on this planet from existing, right?
Yeah, the thing is, I think you're thinking too far into it. I think you need to step back a little bit and look at it a more simpler version of it. Yeah, this planet isn't going to last, but what can we do to help the survival of Earth or of humanity? Mm-hmm. Well, the only answer is to populate other worlds.
Yes, yeah, that's where I disagree.
And to be able to populate Mars is the first step. Like that, I mean, if you want to colonize, other parts of the solar system or maybe the universe itself, you have to start with one first. And yeah, I mean, once the sun starts getting a little bit brighter and burning a little bit hotter and starting to expand as it's going to, then you want to make sure that you have the ability to say, okay, well, we're going to live in this Earth for 100 million more years, whatever it might be. And after that, then we need to move on to the next planet, and then whatever.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
It makes sense to be able to do that. I think you're thinking too far into it, saying like, but we have all these problems here. Yeah, we have all these problems here, but we can also expand our horizons as well too. There's more ways to solve problems, and you're not deserting one side of the coin versus the other. Maybe he's just Martian and he needs to get back to his home planet. Who fucking knows? I mean, do you ever hear that guy talk? He does not. He's not from this planet.
It depends on what the circumstances are. He seemed like just a normal, cool dude to me from most of what I've seen of him. But then what I think is that we just need to really, I understand that to continue life on, to continue human life, we're going to reach a point where we're going to have to leave the planet and terraform another planet. That is a much, much farther time away if we do things now to help reduce climate change. And that's where I think the effort needs to... See,
here's the thing. You're focusing on climate change, but what if climate change isn't the big problem or the big hurdle that humanity may face in the near future? What if it's an asteroid or a comet that could be on impact, but it's being kept so secret? Because if we knew in 8 years' time that there was going to be a meteor impact with Earth with 98.7% certainty that it was going to happen, and this was a catastrophe-ridden comet that only a few privy people are known to, because again, if it was given to the general masses, it would be pandemonium more than likely.
I guess it depends. We don't, you're probably right. I don't know is that someone has that knowledge, but it seems to me that to be...
But that's the other thing too, is there's comets let's just say comets are a different breed, but asteroids, at least, there's asteroids that we discover literally going by our planet that are 10 times closer to us than the moon is, that are city blocks big, and we had no idea that they were there. And that's the whole thing. It's like, how much do we really know that's out there that could be disruptive? What could happen out there that could send something hurtling directly at us?
Right.
And I think, I mean, first of all, you may not have time to react. And that's the whole thing about life. Like, think about life itself. It's very strange because life as a species wants to continue on. Like, if you corner something into a corner, if you corner it and it's backed into the corner and it's fighting for its life, it will do anything it can to survive. It's just life. Life wants to continue going. Life as a species wants to continue going as well too. So whether that's however the reproductive system is, like okay, so turtles, they lay, I don't know how many eggs they lay and hatch, but only a few truly make it, because that whole little journey from beach to ocean beyond the reef, you know, only a few make it through because the rest are all fish food and predator food. So life adjusted to be able to make so many turtle eggs at one time that hatch, so a few can make it, so that species can continue on. And it's the same thing. Life all over wants to continue to survive. But what's oddly strange about it is that for that one thing or for that species to live, it has to kill a lot of other life. So it's like some life is designed for food. Some life is designed to kill that food, to catch it. Some life, it's this whole intricate thing. And life wants to continue. So we see our planet as we're on Earth, and something could easily disrupt that. Somebody could easily hit the wrong code and poof, we have a real problem. Somebody could hit, or I mean, I'm sorry, the sun or Jupiter or something could throw an asteroid or a comet into our direction and make a substantial impact on Earth. It could wipe out the entire... There's a lot of things that can go wrong on this very fragile planet. And that's the whole thing too, is our planet is very fragile. If there's something that can easily shake it up, it's very easy. We're living in a great time where there hasn't been that much shakeup in hundreds of thousands or long time. And who knows what could happen. And I think it's just a backup plan that people are having, because what if that's true? What if the government, and let's put our tinfoil hats on. What if the government says, oh my God, yeah, there is an asteroid that's going to impact Earth. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But maybe in his mind, he's saying, well, we need to make sure that our species can survive in the event of something happening. Or again, maybe he's a Martian and needs to get back home. His ship got abandoned here in Roswell.
Do you think that if there was that knowledge, because you're right, we don't have telescopes pointed around the globe at every angle of space. We have probably 1 or 4% covered. So let's say your scenario, someone found an asteroid that's plunging towards Earth. Do you think that it would be beneficial to say, hey, every human on Earth,
go about Joseph?
No, there's a giant asteroid coming towards us, and we need everyone to join together and try to find a solution to deflect this asteroid. We can't blow it up. If we blow it up, then everything is going to hit the Earth anyway, and it's going to cause a million little problems. We need everyone to work together to try to find some way to derail this thing. Or we need everyone to work together. If we determine that there's not enough time to try to deflect it, we need everyone to work together to abandon ship, to try to get somewhere else. Do you think that it's more beneficial to just tell people what's happening?
No, I don't. I think it would cause a mass pandemonium that would... I think it would be... You'd kind of have a couple of waves of stuff. Like it would be at first everybody, or not everybody. I would say a lot of people would probably freak out, and you'd probably have a massive impact economically. So you would probably, the stock exchange would be in shambles. Money as we know it would be obsolete, or almost probably in a depression-like status like that, because it's the whole uncertainty. You got to remember, all of that is built up upon this belief system. And if you throw this monkey wrench of we're all going to die in 8 years or something, then you're going to have this mass pandemonium that's going to be reflective all over and probably destabilize a lot of things that we have cornerstoned right now, like our financial system, which will, disrupt every other system out there. So if we have a major impact financially, that will take care of every other system and cause a horrible issue throughout. And I don't think you need to get everybody on that page in order to try to move an asteroid or change an asteroid. I think you need to get top scientist minds who work in the field of study on either gravity, deflection, something that would do that, where they can actually do these things, test them on this thing and see if it will work. So like one of the things is like shining not shining, but you could paint the one side or the whole thing, depending on how it's rotating, with a reflective coating that would potentially push it away from the sun, because the way the temperature, it can spin it off its course and then go off. Or you can direct a laser at it that when it hits it over time, if you have enough time, it would poke it off of its course enough where instead of being a direct impact probable situation, its impact to hit Earth would probably go down to like a negligible percentage. So, I mean, I don't think you'd want, I don't think that it would be beneficial to do that. But this is going into a question of what's right and what happens. It's right to tell everybody what's going on if that's the case. Yes, it's the right thing to do to let everybody know. But when you if you're looking in depth on things, it probably would cause mass pandemonium. It would probably cause stock markets to exchange, the financial system to collapse, and then you'd have a whole different type of mess, because maybe now your food system is going to be disrupted, your safety, your health, all those things that are built up on this very fragile system is now shattered away underneath, and it's a house. It's basically like a house of cards that the whole base is now in shambles and everything's crumbling around it.
Yeah.
So again, what's the right thing to do and what's the smart thing to do? In this case, probably two different things. But again, like, we just don't know if something could happen. So I can see his point of view, but he's always been obsessed with Mars. So like I said, he could just be and I don't know why you can't just say, yeah, he's probably a Martian who wants to get back home. Right. Roswell did happen in 47.
It was swamp gas, Chris. Definitely swamp gas.
No, it was a what you call it, balloon. It was a weather balloon.
It was glanced off the Earth by swamp gas. Well,
no, it was the deflection of an asteroid that we painted, and because it went off on a side, it was really just an asteroid that hit the Earth.
No, I think that the way humanity is going, unless we all make some major changes, we're going to have to bail out on Earth, right? But I just think that we need to be much more responsible about it, and not, I think we need to learn more about how things are engineered. For example, you went to a benefit for your friend you were mentioning. That person, if you don't mind me saying, because I don't know them, and it's never gonna. Can I say what the benefit was for and what they were looking for?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so. It was for the person needs a kidney, right? From my understanding. Okay. Now I
don't know what she has. I don't remember what it is, but yeah, she needs a kidney.
Needs a kidney, right? So to me, someday human beings, if we put enough time and energy into it and resources, we could learn how to re-engineer body parts and get replaced to just grow a kidney, right?
Yeah, but how many people are on the planet?
Right now, it's almost 8 billion.
Okay. So there's 8 billion people on the planet. One person we're talking about right here, one person, Elon Musk, who wants to send people to Mars. One person out of 8 billion.
Yeah.
What's the percentage of one person out of 8 billion?
Anyway, what I'm saying
No,
is...
no, answer the question.
I don't... What is
I'm
it?
trying to make a point. It's so minuscule that it's I don't know, 0.00000%.
Yeah.
It's so small out of one person. So why can't one person focus his time, his energy, his efforts on creating a backup plan that could potentially put people on Mars when the 7.5 to 8 billion other people on this planet work towards things like stabilizing the world's governments, stabilizing the fact of we have nuclear arms and trying to keep peace and not expand on that, help fight climate change, to help reforest Australia, reforest other parts that have been stripped, fix certain things. What does it matter if one or a couple people are making a backup plan to go to another planet,
right,
and institute a whole system of ideas that could potentially be the right way of doing something or thinking of, instead of, oh, let's just throw our garbage right here, wherever it is. You have something in place where that's the main focus, is being resourceful, but also being mindful of not just where you are, but the world around you, what's going on, and all of those types of things. Why can't we just have both aspects? Because again, one to a few people on this planet of 8 billion will not make a difference if they're focusing on a plan B in the event there's an Earth catastrophe happening.
But that's not what's
happens
happening.
like that.
Yeah, that's not what's happening.
But you don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the whole thing. They're doing it, or he's doing it because there's a possibility. Well, Earth will blow up, or Earth will be done for at some point. Whether it's next year or a billion years from now, Earth will become. No, it's less than that, because the way the sun starts heating up, it heats up more before it expands. So you have, I think oceans have like 1 billion years left, or it's about 600 million to a billion years or something left. So there's not, I mean, overall, the days on Earth is numbered.
Yeah.
So it's like,
that's a pretty good gap of time. So
I get that, but what I'm saying is,
so what I'll do,
a couple people, they can start with plan B.
Yeah, that's not what's happening though. So what else? And nobody's saying not to do that, but what I'll do. So what I'm saying is, we need to be much more careful and conscious, and I think human beings need to be much more technologically advanced before we start to think about terraforming another planet. Because again, we have an opportunity to eliminate suffering and disease, and we could have a new, better society on another planet. And you're right, eventually we're going to have to leave Earth. And if we don't do something about our climate change, it's going to be sooner than later. I get it. But bearing any unforeseen things that we don't know about, I can only go by the information that's being presented to us, that we have a billionaire who wants to, in our lifetime, colonize a planet with thousands of other people. And all I'm saying is, I think we need to take a step back, be much more mindful and careful, because we have an opportunity to really take our time in really advanced human society. And I don't think we're technologically advanced enough to be able to terraform another planet to where it could be the best. Whereas if we waited and we learned more about how to, fix things that are wrong with our bodies. Now we're so rudimentary when it comes to the way that our brains work and the way that surgery works, the way that your friend needs a kidney.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Why would you wait to perfect something when you don't know what perfect actually is? There's no such thing as perfect. Secondly, if you okay, how do I want to put this? If you have an idea and you want to portray that idea or create that idea, and you have all of these different thought processes behind it, and then instead of you putting it, let's say you have I want to say this the right way. Let's say you have an idea for a show, and you want to do a few things with this show and make it a continuing thing, and you wait to do it until you think it's perfect, instead of just starting it right now and then fixing it to make it better as it goes on with more knowledge. But that whole time frame from starting it now to when you think it's perfect is probably such a vast difference that if you started it now and you were trying to get it out to other people, for other people to see it, to have a following, to have it gain traction, whatever it might be, you know, if you wait until then, you're starting at zero versus just starting it now and being able to perfect it down the road. And that's the whole other thing. When we started this, how many times do we run into problems that we had to iron out? We just said, like, you and I, we wanted to put out a podcast. We talked about it, and we started doing recordings, and every time, like, 1 week we would have this problem that we ironed out, and then we realized we had another problem, or maybe 2 problems. We'd iron out those problems, and then we kind of got this point where it was like, okay, this is looking good, but yet we never pulled the trigger on being able to publish them yet. And then I said to you, I'm like, look, I don't care. We need to publish these now, and we need to start getting them out there. As we're learning, as we're going, it's going to get better, but at least we're getting it out there right now. So why is that different from a few people saying, let's figure out how to colonize another planet and work on that and see what we can do in terms of, you know, colonizing the second planet. And once we colonize that by, I don't know, a few 100,000 people, then guess what? You could start having kids on that planet, and then you could start populating that thing.
Yeah, that's exactly my fear.
How is that a fear? That's
because then you're populating. Then you're going to carry disease. You're going to carry hardship. If people just took their time, develop this technology on how to send. How do you
know that it's going to create hardship and disparity and all that stuff out there?
Because there's no resources there, and look what we have here.
Who's to say this is any better?
Yeah, it's worse. So it's worse on another planet where there's less resources. So I think that if you want to really have a backup plan and you want to say, okay.
I heard there's a lot of lithium in Mars. That's why.
Probably.
I heard there's a lot of lithium, even more so than on the planet Earth. And, you know, we need those for those Tesla batteries.
For sure.
And that's the other thing. How do you know that it's not just a resource game?
Could be
that we're oh, hey, we can go to that planet. Yeah, we could build something, but oh my God, look at this.
Well,
I didn't know there was lithium that's sitting right there, right next to our plant.
Well, that's part of the agreement.
Let's start mining that and take it back to Earth so we can build our cell phones and our Tesla batteries.
That's part of the agreement. if you want to go to Mars, you have to pay for it. But if you can't pay for it, you can fly there, and then you can work for SpaceX while you're there and work your debt off for getting there. Right. So I just think that the people who are involved need to take a huge step back and say, well, maybe we should practice terraforming another planet first. And we should become a lot more technologically advanced to where we can solve diseases and mental health problems and all the other problems that we have on Earth before we go fuck up some other planet.
I think what we need to do is have more billionaires or more I'm not even going to use the term billionaires. I think we should have more visionaries stepping up to the plate who have massive social reach that bring up different ideas and probably aren't even going to happen, because how many times has he said, Elon himself said, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do, how many times has he said, we're going to do something, and it never happens? Sure. Because he's dreaming of it. He's being a visionary of it. He's seeing it, and he sees it's plausible or possible, but the reality of it, it's not there. So what's wrong with him being a dreamer or visionary saying that? Because chances are, no, in our lifetime, that probably won't happen.
I think they're
unless
working
we're
on it.
hard pressed. They're working on it, but it won't happen technologically. Like, I think it was like 2 years ago or something, he said that he wants to compete with Uber and Lyft by creating a whole fleet of self-driving Teslas.
Mm-hmm.
Is there even one self-driving
Yeah,
Tesla out there?
Yeah, I think they're working on them.
They're not. They're not self-driving in terms of you being able to actually go or like put it on, like turn the car on, have somebody GPS pin it. They're nowhere near that type of technology
first of all,
yet. And they said they were going to do it within 1 year.
I think Elon is great. So if, I don't know an extreme lot about him, but from what I do know that he went from here, went to there, went to school, sold PayPal, I believe, and then started, all these companies and doing things like solar panels and things like that. It's great. He's an engineer, right? And I'm not taking anything away from his dream. If I was a billionaire that could do anything, maybe my dream is to colonize another planet too. All I'm saying is that in human beings in general, let's say that someone else had that same dream who had billions of dollars. I think that it's a responsible human being in society. The scientific community should say, look, we need to take a step back, make sure that we can, when they can grow a new kidney for your friend, then I think we should start, thinking about terraforming other planets. When we can fix DNA strands and we can eliminate diseases, and
which
we
can be still left up to the 7.5 to 8 billion people that are in the planet elsewhere too.
But we can't allow that one person to fuck up another planet, because then it's already ruined and you can't start over. Once the genie is out of the bottle, it's out of the bottle. You can't, once you have people on another planet who have diseases, who have hardship, who have struggling, who get the flu, who get colds, and who suffer from kidney failure, who can't get dialysis, who can't find another kidney because they're on Mars. I think we just you can't take those people back. Right? Like, it's a one-way trip. Once you're there, you're there. And the damage is already done. The genie's out of the bottle. I think we need to just slow down. Nobody's saying not to send people to Mars. We need to definitely have a plan, but I think that's thousands of years away. I think that we need to really, really advance technology to where, you're not cutting open people with a blunt object to operate on them. You're able to grow organs and manipulate matter to be able to fix things. That's the point I think that we need to be at before we can start thinking about terraforming another planet. Good for him. I'm not taking away from his dream. I just think we all need to take a step back and be more careful. It'd be like if I said, look, I have this vial and there's 7.5 million blood cells in here and only one of them has AIDS. And I'm going to inject you with these 7.5 billion blood cells and there's only going to be one of them with HIV in there. Well, you're going to be like, fuck no, I don't want an AIDS one. You want to make sure that we're extremely careful about doing something, especially on another planet.
I think you're trying to be extremely careful on anything you're doing. And I don't know why you're nitpicking on going to Mars. I think
because we have an opportunity. Yeah, we have an opportunity to do things responsibly, and I think it's irresponsible to not really take just say, okay, a billionaire can just fly people there if he wants to.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. You don't know what plan he has in place. You don't know what they're thinking about, what they're planning on doing in terms of how to execute that.
Yeah, I can only go by what they're announcing.
You're only looking at part of it. Yeah. He may have an entirety of how you would go to a different planet, how you could terraform it, how you could make it so people could potentially actually live on it, work on it, and
I'm sure you could
do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And yet do it in a great manner where you're still being part of that planet, where you're still taking care of it.
I'm sure
and doing a lot of. I mean, you don't know that. I get how you're saying, well, we have all these other things. Yeah,
but I do know
a few people out of 8 billion is not going to make a big difference.
Once those people are there, you can't take them back. And that person who carries a virus there, or carries some kind of genetic mutation, you cannot take those people back off of that planet.
Well, isn't genetic mutations just evolution.
It is evolution. But
So it's
you know what
going
I'm
to
saying.
happen. Yeah, but it's going to happen no matter where you are.
So until we're at the point where we can spot a problem, oh, this person is suffering kidney failure, we can fix that kidney. We can print you a new kidney, or
Yeah,
even more
but
advanced, and grow you a new kidney with your own tissues.
Last time I checked, I'm able to beam information the speed of light, which would take a few minutes to go from here to there in terms of, technology and innovation and what people are doing in research and development. So maybe there's a breakthrough on Earth on how to do it. And there they don't know, but somebody in that same boat, then all of a sudden, hey, guess what? I can actually get a new kidney by this process, or or whatever it might be, or treat this because now I have that ability. Nobody's saying we're breaking away from this entire earth and going and doing our own thing. They're still going to be intertwined and interrelated by the transmission of data and information at light speed that's happening from Earth to Mars. Mm-hmm. And those things will still continue to happen. The only difference is it's not going to be where I can take a plane to get across the other side of the country or the other side of the world. You have to use email, or you have to use like internet-based things. So you're still going to be able to make things happen. The whole thing is, it's just taking an idea and maybe bringing it to fruition for whatever reason. I say go with it. Go do what you want to do. If you're a visionary and that's where you're going, he's already given the world a lot of great things. Mm-hmm. So he's doing good things for humanity, or at least trying to, at least in his opinion.
Is it a case where if you were him, you'd want to be able to do what you want to do no matter what someone else says? Is that the idea? Like you don't want to tell Elon, like, don't send people to Mars, because if you were in his shoes, you wouldn't want someone to tell you not to do it?
No, that's his passion. That's where he wants to go.
But
so, no, hold on. If I was passionate about the same thing, or if I was passionate about something else and somebody told me, no, don't do that, then one, you're taking away my dream and I'm going to piss on you. Mm-hmm. But he may not be interested in something else.
Right.
He may be interested in
it is a case where you don't want to not support him, because if you were in his position, you wouldn't want someone to say that to you. Like, look, Elon, we're all for your hopes and dreams, but we want to be very responsible here. And not even, let's just take him out of the picture, because I have great respect for him. I think he's a super genius. Let's just say in general, look, you're a billionaire. And we support you being able to do whatever you want, except for we're not going to allow you to go to another planet. And
why would you?
We have an opportunity.
Why would you put an inhibitor on ingenuity?
Yeah, and because we have an opportunity here to be extremely responsible, where we can start a new society without all of the ails and suffrage that our humans here on Earth went through.
Who would be on that who would be on that board or on that process to make a better society?
Well, we'd all have to come together to pick that, and that's the other gap that nobody is saying
again, though. But that's the whole thing. Like, look at all of human history from the moment humans were around through today, and please tell me, at what point in the world have we not been warring with each other?
But you know who has that authority? The new Space Force. I'm sure you've seen the new Space Force camouflage outfits, right?
What is it, black?
They're camouflage, because you need to blend in space. You need to camouflage.
Yeah, so it's black?
No, it's camouflage.
So it's black, because it's camouflage.
Okay.
You're in space.
It's
black.
camouflage.
There's nothing in space. It's
black. Oh, what
it's
a good
dark.
point.
So,
right.
But I mean, seriously, like, first of all, I mean,
I'm saying, again, I'm not saying to stifle someone's dream. I'm saying let's be more responsible.
Look, no. If he's passionate about something and somebody can raise a question and say, okay, well, what are you going to do about this? And then that will hopefully inspire him to think of a way to solve that problem and let somebody else do the other resource of anything in this planet, but leave it to him or his team on figuring something out. First of all, again, what governing body, what body in general is going to come up together and say, well, we're going to we want to make this way only, because let's talk about every single government out there, because all they do is fuck shit up.
Oh, of course.
So they're not
So why
smart.
would
They're
we-
only working
yeah.
for their own
Why
personal
would we send
agendas.
other people to another planet to fuck shit up there? That's
But
my. You
that's-
just made
but
my
that's
whole
the
point
thing.
for me.
But that's the thing. You don't know if it's going to fuck it up. Somebody
Well, why wouldn't they?
or Elon could come up with an idea and say, well, if we work this way, this will probably be the best way for most people. And again, here's the thing. There's nothing perfect out there. So if you're trying to chase perfection,
Nobody's
there's
saying
no
that.
such thing like that.
Yeah, nobody's saying that.
But you are, by
saying we need to be much more responsible.
We need to make a perfect system in
No,
order.
nobody
and
said
that's
that.
the whole thing. Like, that is not going
No,
to.
I said that we have an opportunity to, if we're talking about terraforming another planet, we have an opportunity to have a much better society. We can eliminate disease. We can eliminate suffering. And I just think
well,
we're
first of all, you're not going to
jumping the
eliminate
gun.
disease going to another planet.
Right, that's my
you're
whole point.
going to get disease wherever
my
you
whole
are.
point.
What the fuck does it matter?
So I think we need
it
to
doesn't
work
like,
on.
That's a mute point.
Yeah, we need to work on solving the problems that we have here on Earth before fucking up another planet. That's exactly my point.
Going to another planet and having a disease doesn't mean jack shit. It's a mute point, because you're going. People carry disease. People are disease ridden. It's just the way it is. There's bacteria that live on us. There's bacteria that grow on us. There's bacteria that's good for us. There's bacteria that's bad for us. And guess what? It's going to happen. We're going to get sick. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, right
And-
now, but it doesn't have to be that way. And until
but-
we can figure out how to manipulate the materials in the environment around us to eliminate those sort of things, that's when we should
No,
be
it doesn't-
thinking about going
but
to
that's-
another
that,
planet.
That doesn't matter. That stuff doesn't matter. Let the 7.5 to 8 billion other people worry about doing something like that, when a small team of people who are going to colonize another planet can worry about that. And then, hey, guess what? That small colonization of people can do what they're going to do and see what they're going to see, work on what they can work, and do what they can do. Maybe going to that to that area or planet or whatever it might be, there could be something there that we don't realize or that we don't know that could be beneficial towards humanity on Earth itself, and we just don't know it yet because we actually haven't gone there and been on there and done real studies of what everything's there, what's underneath the soil, all this stuff. And on top of it, again, a small group of people going somewhere, they can do a lot of different things that probably have been thought about over and over the last 50 years or so on how to make a society better in terms of not fucking up something. And you apply that to the planet that you're going to. There's also certain practices that you have to follow via the space organizations like NASA and other parts of the world, that if you are going out in outer space, you have to follow this regimen of stuff in terms of trying not to contaminate other planets or other areas because of our own doing or our own stuff. There's already stuff like that in place. And that would probably not be any different if it's people going to Mars or not. So let them go, let them do their thing. If they're, again, that's one aspect of somebody doing something that is just another avenue of what human ingenuity and technology achievements can happen, where we're going to learn a great deal about another planet, the possible terraformation of it, or the true knowledge of what we really have, if we can do it or not, and a lot of different factors involved in it. So if you have a person or a group of people out of the 7.5 and 8 billion people out on this planet who can do every other thing, it's not going to make any bit of difference if we're doing, or if he and a few people are going to Mars versus the rest of the planet doing and figuring out stuff on a technological advancement in terms of trying to cure diseases, trying to cure things like homelessness, or I don't know if you'd say cure, but at least treat homelessness to help alleviate that problem, maybe to alleviate certain problems or understand certain things within our own mindset, our own society, our own sociology, our own human condition on Earth.
Well, just like Elon Musk is terrified of AI, I have the exact same reservations about just randomly sending, people is like, oh, this is a great vacation for you. You can get on a ship and go to Mars and just go to be on Mars.
Yeah,
I think we need to be much more responsible. Well, that's the plan right now. So
that's the plan, and that's a long time away to be able to
within
execute
10 years,
that.
yeah.
But the first starting of it for probably a long time, and I'm not throwing any numbers out there because I don't know. I don't have any knowledge in that realm. I'm not a space explorationist or anything of the sorts, nor do I have the interest in doing it. But you're going to have to send people there first to see if it's viable to even keep people there for a sustained amount of time.
Yep.
And you're going to have to do those studies, and then you're going to have to build certain things. And if you're smart, which he is, he's probably going to use some resources from here first, and then realize that there's a whole planet there worth of resources that you can start creating and doing certain things. And then once you figure that out, you can expand, and then you can extract more resources, and you can do more things. And then that way it's not causing a toll on this planet in any way.
Right.
But who knows? Maybe now we found a way where we can use our old plastic bags and
See, that
straws.
sounds great. What you said sounds perfectly logical, and it sounds like baby steps.
And that's probably what he's doing. I don't see him saying, oh, yeah, we're going to start right away by sending 100 people on 100 ships.
Well, that's what...
But that's the whole thing. Like, you're taking a news article that's probably been pieced, or that's been probably decontextualized,
right,
in terms of, oh, he said this whole
right,
A to Z plan of getting people on Mars, and the newspaper or whatever article you're reading maybe gave the MNO worth of information and skipped out the whole A through L in terms of that by saying, oh, well, B is step 1, C is step 2, and making sure all these things. That's the whole other thing.
Oh, I'm with you on fake news and who knows what's real. So if we're going just by the article that I'm looking at, apparently he gave a talk.
You can't go by just the article.
Yeah,
you got to go.
Of course.
You got to put it in a context, in the true context of the nature.
Of course. So we'll have to watch this video, and we can watch the talk that he gave. But in the talk, according to this article, he says that he wants to produce 100 starships per year, over 1,000 over the next decade, and that he wants to ship 100 megatons a year, around 100,000 people, per Earth-Mars orbital sync, which is the lowest distance to Mars. So again, he wants to have 1 million people on Mars by the year 2050. That's in 30 years, right? Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying let's not send people there. If I had my way, I would figure out how to have people live in a bubble like Mars on Earth for a very long time and make sure that we don't repeat the same mistakes that humans have fallen into over and over again, and also figure out how to cure problems like diseases and things like that. I think we need to be much more technological advanced before we even think of going to Mars. That's just me. But according to this article, we want to have 1 million people on Mars before 2050. And that's where I'm saying we need to take a huge step back.
First
and
of all,
start
you
being
don't
much
think,
more responsible.
hold on, you don't think that this planet is already overpopulated by humans?
It's getting to the brink for sure.
So
I think people need to stop fucking.
Well, I don't think it's just that. I mean, there's people in. I don't even know how you'd say that. What is it in like civil? Not even. It's not civilized. In first world countries, the birth rate is dropped below.
For some, yeah.
For I think
like
most
China
of them.
and I think I'd have to
even
look
the
up
U.S. It's not even there. I think it's 1.6.
Yeah.
So it's not even
because it's people like me.
No, it's people like just in general. Yeah. You're not having 9 kids like you used to. Right. You're having less kids because you're busier. You're pursuing things. Whatever you're doing,
it's
it doesn't matter.
Step in the right direction for sure.
And our planet itself, is overpopulated. But there's so many problems. But the thing is, you don't know what's the best course of action in terms of creating a quote unquote perfect society.
Yeah, nobody's saying that.
No, but you're saying we need to be so much more advanced,
much more responsible.
So we don't. But that's the thing. There's the ability to impart responsibility into a new place altogether, and making it commonplace, because you are drastically changing the entire arena by creating something brand new off the bat.
I don't think you're changing human nature at all by sending them somewhere else.
I didn't say you're changing human nature.
Yeah.
I said that you have the ability to. Now think of how...
That's why I'm calling for responsibility.
Yeah, well, guess what? They're probably already doing that. And
I hope. I don't know.
Again,
it would be interesting to learn to see if there is some kind of global community who's trying to be responsible about terraforming and doing things like sending humans off to another planet. I would hope that there is. But by having 1 million people on another planet, just like Elon Musk is terrified of AI, I fear that humans will do the exact same thing there than we're doing to our planet.
Well,
what would change?
You gave the number 2050. The singularity of AI is supposed to be around that same time. So how do you know that he's just not terrified and saying, I need to get off this planet because something like AI will not be on that planet.
Yeah.
And then if in the event that I am correct, then at least there's a civilization that is still alive and ready to go.
Where they're the exact same people as you had on Earth.
But it doesn't matter. It's still the survival of humanity. Yeah. And while people on Earth could be subject to the Matrix or the oncoming of the Matrix because the machines take over and we lose the war, versus people who are in Mars who may be able to send EMPs back to Earth and retake the planet and who knows? I mean, like, there's so many variabilities you just don't know. But I'm done with that conversation because it's like fucking beating a dead horse, and I'm not going around and around on that.
So I think we beat it to death.
And I was over it 20 minutes ago. But did you hear the good news that the House Judiciary, I think it's the House Judiciary Committee, they voted 24-10 to change marijuana from a something like to get it so it's not going to be on Scheduled 1.
So you mean right now we all know that methamphetamines and heroin are exactly the same as marijuana. Everybody knows that. So why would we want to change the rules?
Because they're stupid.
Oh, okay. The rules on stupid?
Huh?
The rules on drugs are stupid?
Yeah.
So that marijuana and heroin and cocaine are all the same?
100%.
Okay.
We already know that.
All right. So then what do we need to change then? If you get 10 years in jail for heroin possession, you get 10 years in jail for marijuana possession.
They're changing marijuana being a Schedule 1. They're voting on it in the House Judiciary Committee to change it from being a Schedule 1 to being not even on the list anymore.
Okay. Not to a Schedule 2?
No, it would be legalized.
Okay.
On a federal level.
Oh, okay. So they're like, well, we've had enough of this oppression. It's not working. It's interesting you brought this up because a friend of ours that I ran into at the store today was talking about how she got a grant to help out with, drug addiction and rehab because the current system just doesn't work. Like,
no.
On one hand, like, drugs are bad, okay? Like, if nothing is unsafe. And, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. If you do a drug, you're going to feel good for a little while, and then there's going to be a negative reaction. A certain percentage of those people are going to get addicted to that drug. Mm-hmm. And all sorts of fucked up shit could happen, right? But we generally have laws to protect every other aspect of that person if they're doing something fucked up when they're on drugs. And I've seen the damage of what drugs do to people. But the current system of just putting them in a cage is not working. And it's never going to work. And we've got people in Mexico getting their heads lopped off for the drug war. Like, what would those people do if everything was just legal and you could just go somewhere and buy things? Those people
Hey, can I ask you a question? Can
Yeah.
we take it from like this level of scrutinizing shit down to like the surface level for a little
guess.
bit? Because
a lot of
I'm
fucked up shit in
saying
the
I'm
world.
saying that they're talking about how stupid this prohibition on marijuana is, and the House Judiciary Committee on a federal level is just passed their whatever act to say that marijuana will be a legalized substance instead of being a Schedule 1 narcotic.
So are you going to be locked in a cage if you have the marijuana?
No, it's putting a legalization on it, like the states that have legalized it already.
Okay. So what you're
'Cause I
really
don't
saying
oh my God, seriously?
is the oppressors are going to stop oppressing?
Yes.
Okay. Yay. That's a
Jesus
step in the right direction.
Christ. You're like getting so analytical, and it's like, step it back a little bit, reel it back. Because I don't think you knew what I was saying when I was saying it.
Yeah.
I think you're getting so into this mindset of like, oh my God, there's this and this and this and that. It's like, dude, just step the fuck back, chill out.
All
Maybe
right.
you need a little bit of weed to take the edge off a little bit.
I don't think
Instead
it does
of being
that.
so goddamn analytical
Doesn't
on
it-
certain things.
Doesn't it cause massive paranoia?
No, it causes hyper awareness.
Yeah. And
So if you're
paranoia?
okay with hyper awareness
Yeah, no.
and accepting of it, then
I'm aware
you're gonna be
enough.
okay.
No, I don't. It's definitely not for me. But that's okay. And that's the other good thing about the society that we live in is I have the right to choose. And, you know, it's funny. Life is really
No,
weird.
you don't have the right to choose right now.
No,
'cause
apparently
it's
not.
federally illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
And
right.
it's illegal in I don't know
Yeah.
how many states it is still right now.
Well, what's funny about that is there's the people who want to oppress and say, I can't do it. And then there's the other people who say, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. Like,
No, there's the people who say you should be allowed to do it if you want. and
just try it. Well, I was out with a friend of mine for her birthday, and I hadn't seen this other friend of mine in 10 years, and it was a surprise. I didn't know she was going to be there. It's the best friend of mine growing up. And we had an awkward falling out, not because of her, because of a person that she had in her life.
Okay, yeah, but go
And,
to the party.
She knows that I've been driving her drunken ass around when I was the designated driver in our 20s for probably 7 years, a good 7 years.
Did
And
she refund you?
No. She's like, Aaron, we got to do a shot just for old time's sake. I'm like, no, I can't drink. I've been sober for 11 years. I'm not ruining my sobriety for you. And I don't want to.
What's the 11-year chip?
Well, you know, I have not been sober for 11 years. I've been 99.8% sober.
So
You got to
then
be honest.
what are you really at?
Probably 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
Before I've
so-
had any alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been intoxicated 3 times in the past 11 years. And, but for me, it was never an issue of like I had a drinking problem where I'm like, I got to have a drink, man. Or I was just in a different lifestyle and I just didn't want to live that lifestyle anymore because alcohol tastes like poison to me. I can't take the hangover and I didn't like it anymore. I was just like, oh, I'll move on to something else. But this person is like, we got to have a shot. Got to have a shot. I'm like, no, I don't want to. It tastes like poison. I don't want to. You just got to. So we have people on one side of the fence like, you can't do that. And then people on the other side of the fence are like, you got to do that.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. It's like you got to come down and do what you want to do and not care what other people want. And that's the whole thing of tribalism is like you're on one team or you're on the other team. And I'm not getting into anything analytical anymore. If you want to talk about something fun, we'll talk about something fun.
Okay, well, I
But
don't have
I'm-
anything fun.
I'm done with the analytical side of shit because I didn't want to get into the analytical side of shit today at all.
All right.
I wanted to have some fun, kick back, relax, talk about some stupid shit.
Like what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was just going to go with it. That's why I started talking about the crazy racism that was in cartoons in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, that's pretty racist. Is it racist if it's always true?
No, that's a generalization.
Okay. It's not racist.
Well, it could be.
If a group of people all
That's a
display
gross generalization. Do not generalize people because it's not always true.
Okay.
You can't say you people.
What do you mean by you people?
Exactly.
See,
you
the
can't
only
say that.
the only other articles that remind me to bring this up sometime. Your online activity is now effectively your social credit score, which is what we were talking about earlier. So we'll have to talk about that.
So mine would be looking up normal porn, YouTube videos on how to do things, and I think I don't know. That's really all I look up.
Well, according to your profile here, Chris, it says that you're a socialist who believes in socialism, and that means you're bad.
Well, that would just be stupid because no.
And the other one was the cult that slayed a pregnant woman. That's the only two articles, and we'll talk about
Isn't
that
that
next time.
isn't that a movie?
Well, you wanted to talk
From,
about. You did bring up tribalism. Here's one thing I don't understand. We'll talk about getting involved in a cult another time. So
Yeah, but isn't that a movie where with Nicolas Cage? Oh my God, what the fuck was the name of the movie?
National Treasure.
No, did you know they're coming out with a third one?
Is
Like
it a
it's
third one
in
or
the
a
works
fourth
now.
one? Oh
Like
my God.
Disney gave the go ahead for it. I just saw it on an article. I didn't read it, so I don't really know what or when it's going to come out. But yeah, National Treasure 3 will be coming out. I guess it got the go ahead from Disney finally. No, there was a movie with Nicolas Cage, and it was where he died, went to hell, and his daughter got involved in some occult, and so he broke out of prison and was trying to find this cult leader because they took the baby, and he wanted to make sure the baby was okay. And they were going to slay the mother. No, they were going to slay the baby. And so Nicolas Cage was trying to save him. And the collector, which was played by Bill Fichtner, he was like the person who is like the gatekeeper of hell. So it keeps everybody in who got in there. And so he was on the journey trying to chase after him. And he ended up helping him because, he's like, these people who do these stupid things are in bad taste and stuff. And it was I thought it was a really good movie. It was like it was Drive Angry.
I never
That's
saw
what
it.
it
Oh,
is.
see, I was just Googling it. No, I never saw that one.
Yeah.
Never even heard of it.
It's it's actually pretty good. It's like it's Quentin Tarantino-esque. You can definitely see some influence there. And it's I don't know, it's funny. Like one of my favorite scenes ever in a movie is that, and this is when Bill Fichtner is, Nicolas Cage is driving his car, comes up to a police block, and they all got their guns on him. And then here comes Bill Fichtner, who's, like I said, the collector, and he's coming down from the opposite side, and he's driving a hydrogen gas tank truck. And he's just driving along, barreling through, and then he barrels through the police barricade, turns the wheel, and he just gets out of the car nonchalantly, just steps right out as it's going and like crashing into shit, and it's just about to fall over, flip, and explode. He just walks right out on like the top of a police car.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just completely barricades the entire thing. And he just the police chief is like, what the fuck? What the shit is going on here? And he's like looking at Bill Fichtner's character, and so Fichtner just flings this coin into the air that he uses throughout the movie. He catches it, and he's like, FBI, I've been working this case for, I don't know, 2 years or something. You let these people go. And so he was like, he let them go. Nicolas Cage and the girl that he was with. And like that whole scene itself was just, I don't know, to me, it was horribly CGI'd, but just the whole thing behind it was funny because here he is, he's driving the truck and he's just like, it's so funny, that whole scene. Remind me to show you after we shut this down because can't play it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fucking hilarious. I don't know, for some reason that's my favorite scene in any movie ever is from that movie.
I have to watch it. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. Are you going to buy Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina candle?
Mm-mm.
No, definitely not.
I heard about it, and then there was a joke that Michelle Obama had a penis candle. And I'm like, oh my God, that's fucking hilarious.
Pretty funny. What else happened? What else?
No, my question is that really Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina? Like, did they stick like something in her vagina and pump it up?
I think she just said one of the candles that she sells smells like her vagina. I think she said that. I don't know.
Okay, I got to look this up right now. Hold on. You talk to the good people. I got to look this up. Talk to the good people.
Oh, so I was looking it up too.
Yeah, we only need me to look it up.
Okay. So you're just Googling vagina? That's a good...
No, I'm
gonna
looking
have
at
a good-
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, I think you should just Google vagina.
No, because I know what that is.
Oh, okay.
Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle. So talk to the good people.
Well, I don't really have much to say except for I don't know if would you I don't really have much to say. Candle. Okay, I guess it does. Yeah, it does smell like her vagina.
So it's vaginal steaming, jade vaginal eggs, and of course the elusive sex dust.
Yeah, well, you
Moon
don't know
juice.
about that.
Now, new for January 2020, we have the vagina candle, which is already sold out, prompting a wait list. According to Paltrow, whatever, Paltrow. I don't fucking, like, I always have to say her name the whole, this smells like my vagina candle is a funny, gorgeous, sexy, and beautifully unexpected scent with geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar. Absolute juxtaposed with
Juxtaposed.
damask rose and embret seed. The goal, the goop description optimistically reads, is to put us in the mind of a fantasy, seduction, and a sophisticated warmth. If you do manage to buy one, though, on the wait list, it'll cost you $75.
Okay.
So it's the name of the candle. The name of the candle itself is "This Smells Like My Vagina."
That's the name of
So like vanilla candle or bergamot candle. This smells like my vagina candle.
it. Okay. See, I thought she just had made a comment that a candle that they sell smells like her vagina, but it's actually "This Smells Like My Vagina" candle.
Yeah,
Now, is this a case where she is the owner of her company, Goop, right?
probably.
But she's
I don't
not
know.
in charge of what they're putting out. So, like, there was a lot of hubbub about
No,
her
because she's the one who
vagina
said it.
stones. Okay.
No, because she's the one who said it. She said right here, she said, according to her,
Okay.
this smells like my vagina candle is a funny, gorgeous, sexy, beautiful, unexpected scent.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't say that this smells like my vagina. She just said this. She says, this smells like my vagina candle because that's the
Okay.
name of it.
So she talks about the scent of the candle.
Yeah, she's not talking about her vagina.
And she's not in charge of putting out a candle that's like, I'm going to put out a candle that smells like my vagina.
She
Her
probably-
team is like, we're going to release a candle called "This Smells Like My Vagina."
They might,
And
or
she's-
she could have had the idea too,
Okay, yeah.
and done something about it and said, "Hey, I have this idea about the vagina candle. I want to label it.
Yeah, she's like, I love
this
it.
is my vagina scent."
I love it. Put it out there. Just like the vagina stones and the...
You know what would be funny though is every time you light it, it splashes you in the face. No, that'd be great.
No, well,
or when you blow it out, it splashes you in the face. Like, oh, I'm done.
No, the picture that they have of it was a white candle, and when you lit it, it turned red. That's
Oh, no, I
it
don't.
was
know
a
if
meme.
Yeah, I don't know if.
But like the white candle, once it started dripping, it started
Yeah, but
dripping.
that, wouldn't
red.
that be like, this is my period scent?
You've got it.
This is my period
That's
scented
why it was
candle.
a funny meme. Yeah,
It smells a little bit of like blood.
yeah. That's
We also have blood orange in it. So
sure.
we also have these little color beads that when it, and yes, it'll start going blood red.
I saw soap on the internet that you could buy during Halloween, where it was a white piece of soap, but as soon as you start washing your hands, it turned blood red.
Do you ever see the towel that they have that when it gets wet, it turns like blood?
Yeah, those are
so
cool.
Dude, it's fucking freaky.
Buy a bath mat, the like shower
Like,
mat.
I'm
right?
sorry, but you know what? That's kind of like that, right? Like, this is gonna sound so toxic masculinity right here, but if I see fucking period blood on the floor or something, like, I freak out. I don't like that shit.
That is
like,
not toxic
no, thank you.
masculinity, Chris.
I'm like, no, thank you. I don't want that. Yes, I get you. I understand you get your periods, women, but I don't need to know about it. Please,
Yeah.
wear your pads.
Toxic-
I'm not saying wear tampons because we all know a dude made that to insert in your vagina. No, you can wear a pad. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't want to see that shit on the floor.
Yeah. Toxic masculinity.
Or even
is
in the
like,
floor.
Oh, somebody died in your family? Well, suck it up, you fucking pussy. Just
Well,
walk
that's
it.
part
Oh,
of
you got
it.
a
No, that's
broken
part of
arm?
it.
You're not going to the hospital. You're fucking
Again,
suck
okay,
it up.
okay, calm down. Again, it's the same thing though because it's the male. It's just being a male.
Yeah, I don't
Being a
think
male is toxic masculinity. Remember that.
I don't think so. I don't think being grossed out by blood is toxic masculinity.
Mm.
Because I would, in fact, you know what bothered me? I was eating my food the other day and I was reading articles, and then there was a commercial that came on about periods. And I'm like, well, I'm eating my lunch. I don't want to hear about periods. Is that toxic masculinity? Because I don't
Probably.
want to eat my lunch while hearing about periods.
Probably because we're causing a problem.
Yeah, I guess so.
We're not being allowing the equality.
I don't know.
I'm sorry, but if I was bleeding all over the floor, I'd fucking clean it up because I'm sure people don't want to see my blood sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not grossed out by blood. I don't care. I see my blood when I cut myself all the time.
Yeah, no,
I don't give a fuck. But I don't want, because it's so, like, blood can be very toxic. I mean, when you clean blood, like blood spills and shit, people are wearing
You got to be in
like
a hazmat
full
suit.
hazmat suits. Exactly. So it's not like something that can just be like, oh, here you go, it's all done, it's clean. No, I'm sorry. And this is coming from a vagina, my favorite place to be. Favorite place to be. On that note, I think we're gonna end it.
Yeah.
My mind's getting fried.
Yeah, I think I'm coming down with a cold. I feel the itch in my throat and I feel flush.
I swear, if you get me sick, I'm gonna fucking
No,
cut
you got me sick.
I didn't get you sick because you didn't come here for 2 weeks when I
Yeah,
was like,
the bugs right here.
after-
See it?
No.
That one got in me.
good.
It was just
But it
that
wouldn't
one.
have been
All
a-
it took was
but here's
one
the
to
thing.
make me sick.
It wouldn't have been a week. It wouldn't have taken a week. So sorry, that one's done. No, but if you get me sick, I'm gonna cut you.
No, you already were sick. You got immunities.
I hope so. That's the thing. But I also have, dude, this fucking water is fucking the shit. I actually took Immune Booster earlier because they have the different ones on top.
Yeah.
So I got to go to the store and get some more.
Yeah,
so I'm
like
gonna get some more immune ones for tomorrow so I can drink that.
Yep, they're good.
So I don't get sick. If you get me sick, I'm gonna.
No, you got me sick with your sickness.
You better not get me sick because I will
No,
smack
you
you.
were already sick.
No. All right. So you got your quote?
Oh yeah.
Because if you're not, I got a quote.
Okay, let's listen to yours.
Penny saved is a penny earned.
Okay.
Benjamin Franklin.
What does that mean?
That means
Could you explain it to me like I'm dumb?
that means whatever you want it to mean. That means if you keep your money, it's like you earned it. You earned saving your money.
Okay.
I just think if I find a penny on the floor, I'll keep it.
And you saved
then I
it,
earned
but
that
did you
shit.
earn that penny?
Fuck yeah, I bent down to pick it up.
I guess
I
so.
exerted energy to get that penny.
That makes sense to me. See, I never understood that one, and I didn't understand you can't have your cake and eat it too for a long time. I didn't get what that meant.
Yeah, but do you now?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's all that matters.
This is my understanding of you can't have your cake and eat it too. What's your understanding of it?
Well, it depends on the context you're using it towards.
No, it just says you can't have your cake and eat it
Yes,
too. What
but
does that
it's
mean?
in response to a certain saying. Or I mean,
What is
not to a
You don't
saying.
know
It's-
what it means
it's in,
either.
no, it's in response to whatever the situation that's going on is saying. Like you can't eat your cake, or you can't eat your cake and have it too, or whatever the fuck it is. You can't have
Yeah.
your cake and eat it too.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
It depends on the situation that they're talking about because
Uh-huh.
it could take on a different persona on each time. It's
All right,
being
well, let's
said.
discuss some scenarios.
I don't want to. I'm ending this. If you don't
Okay.
give a quote, then it's just going to end
So-
without a quote.
What it is
Oh,
that
Jesus Christ, get to it.
if you have your cake, this is my understanding of it. Because I just like you, I'm like, I don't know what that means. But after years
I
of
don't care.
pondering,
Come on. I'm
after
wrapping it up.
years of pondering, I think that if you ate your cake, you wouldn't have it anymore. Does that make sense?
No, I don't care.
Okay. Then, what was your other quote? Oh, the penny. I didn't get that one either.
I
I'll
wanted to
pick.
confuse you. That's why.
All right. How about this one? Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking.
I think
That's
that
Steve
sounds.
Jobs.
I think that's a quote that Elon Musk is taking seriously.
Probably.
So go Elon.
Yeah. Well, I say settle down, Elon.
I
Help
say
us fix the problem.
continue on, and then but the only thing is build an EMP, a strong EMP. So if we have to blow up the AI when the singularity happens,
Yeah.
then we can,
Yeah.
and we'll be okay. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna end this now, so because I am well overdue, and I didn't want to. Yeah.
Okay, bye. I was Aaron.
I'm Chris. Have a good night.